Hi, I'm Parker.
And I'm Mike. And this is the Graphic Novel Podcast.
Welcome to our new podcast on the art of the graphic novel. Mike is the author of 10 books and produced Comics TV, which was a weekly TV show on comics for 7 years back in the 90s.
Back in the olden days. Together, we produced Northwest Brew Talk about the beer industry in the Northwest for 2 years. Now we're back, and this show is all about graphic novels. Hi, and welcome to this week's show. How's it going, Parker?
Going good. How about you?
It's going great. And you know what? I'm really excited to get into this first episode. This is really, technically the intro episode was episode number 1, but
Right.
I mean, this is it. This is where we're going to actually talk about a graphic novel.
I know. I'm excited.
I know. And this is, we're going to be talking about a book called Heartstopper
by Alice Oseman.
And yeah, it's a great book. Actually, we're going to talk about both. There's 2 volumes.
So far. 2 more to come.
Yeah. So the thing that we want to let you know is, this is so good. We have to talk about some of the content.
Some of the details are going to be in there. So here's your spoiler alert. I'm not going to I don't ever want to tell you to turn off the show, but this is one of those moments. Just pause it. Don't turn us off. Just pause it.
Because
read the books.
And if you have them,
if you don't like spoilers, if you don't mind spoilers, like we're not going to give the whole thing away. I feel like, and even if we do give away things that are important, like I feel like there's no way that we could really spoil this book.
No, I mean,
right?
You read both of them in like maybe 2 hours.
I mean, I'm a fast reader.
Yeah, but still, they're
quick.
Really good.
They're quick.
Really good.
They're amazing.
They're good. Yeah. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about the creator, and then I'll give a little background on the story itself.
We're just gonna read the quick.
Her bio.
Is this what we decided? We're gonna do the bio from the back of the book. Okay. Yeah. Mike is very particular about the way that I open the book.
Parker, from the time I was little, I wouldn't lend anything to anyone.
How little? What's little? You like teenager?
No, kids, like
really?
Under 10. I wouldn't lend.
It wasn't just that you're selfish and one.
No, I mean it could have been partly that, but it was that I was afraid somebody was going to ruin my album or bend it or ruin my book or my comic or whatever
but sharing
it was.
That art wasn't worth it.
No. Even as I got older, even my
money
teenage years with my best friends, I didn't want to lend them albums.
I gave a CD, a Smash Mouth CD, to a friend to borrow, and I never saw it again.
When I owned my,
I still remember it to this day, and it was Smash Mouth. Like
when I owned my bicycle messenger business, I lent my one book to my longest tenured rider, and he never gave it back to me. And that's why I don't lend things to people. Back to the point, the book was sitting open here, and the cover was bent. And I
don't even remember doing it.
Asked Parker not to do that because it freaks me out just to look at it. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
And how did I have it bent?
I know.
I thought it was
you know what it is? It's
it.
probably the type of paper it is. Sometimes some books bend really easy.
But we've read it. We both read it. Like I am one of those people. I know this is going to freak a lot of you book readers out. I know it is. So here's your trigger warning. If you are passionate about how your books are sitting, trigger warning right now. Just skip ahead like 10 seconds. I will set my book face down. I don't even care. I'll do it. I don't care. I don't understand that. But there's things that I'm certainly anal about. Setting my books on their face is not one of them. My children are.
Yes. Our oldest has destroyed books.
Destroyed them. Even our youngest.
Just ripped half of a cover the other day.
She's just I wanted to tear it.
I've got books. I have a book that I had kept from when I was 10 years old. I just sold it on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't in great condition, but it was still solid.
Yeah. If from 10 years old, that's how old that is. 10 years. You were 10 years old.
Yes.
So it's almost 45 years old. Did I just count properly?
That's pretty good.
Did I do the math?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not good at math.
But that was pretty good. But yeah, it gives my age.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I am impressed that you kept something that long. I mean, not that you kept it, but that it was in such. I saw the book; it was great quality.
We recently moved, and I was like, "Why am I still holding on to this?"
It's been sitting in a box.
It was sitting in a box or sitting on a shelf. That it's not something that I read. It wasn't like a great Shakespeare or anything. So it was time to get rid of it.
Shakespeare. Are you holding on to some Shakespearean writing somewhere?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you're just holding out on me. It's stuffed up in the attic somewhere.
There's a lot of things in the attic. Anyhow,
all right. So anyhow, back to Alice, because that's why we're here.
If I don't have a bookmark, I will just close the book and try and remember what page it's on. Really? I won't even fold the corner.
Well, there are a lot of people that makes them sick as well.
Yeah,
I don't fold corners either.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you take corners?
Very carefully.
Okay.
What is that? An attempt at some sexual joke that I didn't get? Okay.
Yes. It's a 3-way corner. All right. Okay.
Okay. So Alice Oseman, I will say now that when I am speaking about them, I'm going to use they them pronouns because on their Twitter they use they them and she her. But I don't know how updated that is. So perhaps since writing the bio in the book, they have come to the realization that they would prefer they them pronouns, and that's valid and cool. And so in this bio that I'm reading that was written, they use she, and that's totally cool too. So, Alice Oseman was born in 1994 in Kent, England, and is a full-time writer and illustrator. She can usually be found staring aimlessly at a computer screen, questioning the meaninglessness of existence, or doing anything and everything to avoid getting an office job. As well as writing and illustrating Heartstopper, Alice is the author of 3 young adult novels: Solitaire, Radio Silence, and I Was Born for This.
Yes, and we read an article about her to give us a little background on Heartstopper.
Yeah.
This is her author's notes from volume 1. She says that Nick and Charlie have been in my heart for a very long time. As many of you know, they both first appeared in my debut YA novel, Solitaire. Charlie is the younger brother of the narrator, Tori, and Nick is his doting, protective boyfriend. Neither of them are particularly major characters, but in the novel, aged 17 and 15 respectively, they are in a firm, loving, supportive relationship. That's where my desire to let their story began. How did they get to this point, and where will they go from here? So she worked on this, and she's from England, so she says things that we don't. Some of the things like A levels, and they talk about maths with an S.
Maths with an S.
Yeah.
I know. I
and
love
different things that are school related that we didn't.
The jumper.
We don't use, but we understood the story, and that was the basic main point of the whole thing.
Right. I think a lot of those things you can just kind of get it.
There
was one part.
What?
That one part they said chauve, I think.
Oh yeah, you thought it was like chauvinistic.
Yeah, but I don't.
Probably was.
I was going to look it up and I forgot.
In 2016, aged 21, and my art greatly improved, I launched Heartstopper. It started small, but slowly its audience grew and grew. At the time of editing this author's note, Heartstopper has over 70,000 followers across Tumblr and Tapas. So it's something that is appealing to a lot of people. Obviously,
it's
about her. About her. We were supposed to also read about the book, the story itself.
Well, yeah, we can get to that, but I got it up sitting right here. You want me to? You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, so you have an understanding of what the story is about.
Just the synopsis, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. This was written February 2019. So this is, and I think this is when volume
that's
1.
when the first one came out. Yep.
Okay, boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. An LGBTQ plus graphic novel about life, love, and everything that happens in between.
Yes, we were told not to dive into our first episode with something that could be controversial.
But listen, if you don't like queer stuff, you're not going to like this show.
Yeah, you probably won't like us.
I'm queer. I use they, them pronouns. I'm non-binary. Like, if you don't like queer stuff, then I mean, I'll be an asshole. I don't know. I don't want you listening to my show.
You probably won't like it.
You won't like it.
You won't like it. Every episode is not going to be about queer, gay, lesbian things.
No, but enough of them will be.
No, they won't. And there also probably won't be superheroes. But we're gonna have a lot of stuff that probably a lot of indie things that
I feel like I really want to focus on more indie things just because it's anyway.
There's just so much out there. There's so much good stuff like this. I don't even remember where I saw it.
Right.
And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and you loved it.
First book. As soon as I finished reading it, I went and I ordered volume 2.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
I know, and I'm like, I can't wait for volume 3 and volume 4.
Yeah, I know. It took you like I said, an hour and a half maybe to read both of them.
I mean, I'm gonna read them again.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so synopsis. Charlie and Nick are at the same school, but they've never met until one day when they're made to sit together. They quickly become friends, and soon Charlie is falling hard for Nick, even though he doesn't think he has a chance. But love works in surprising ways, and Nick is more interested in Charlie than either of them realized.
Mm-hmm.
Heartstopper is about love, friendship, loyalty, and mental illness. It encompasses all the small stories of Nick and Charlie's lives together that make up something larger, which speaks to all of us.
Okay, so that gives you a good synopsis of the story. They're two guys.
This is from their website too, aliceoseman.com.
So, Nick is 17, blonde-haired, rugby player.
Can I just ask, do you identify with either of the characters more? Like, I
definitely am not Nick because I'm not big.
I am such a Nick. If you
really, when did you play rugby?
I would play rugby if I wasn't terrified of getting hurt. Honestly, I would. Rugby looks like a lot of fun.
It does look interesting.
In the books,
in
both the books, am I scrolling past it here? I'm trying to go. Okay, so in both the books, they have character.
Right.
What
bios?
Mm-hmm. I have a little issue there with the gender being male or female, but can't be perfect.
Well, she does have a trans character.
Yeah. Yes, but gender is different than sex.
Oh, okay.
Male, female is sex, not gender. But we won't go there. Okay, so. Like I'm reading, they have this casual clothes,
mm-hmm.
and then these descriptions of what clothes both characters wear.
Mm-hmm.
And these are casual, they're smart clothes because it's England, so
mm-hmm.
so that's the way they talk. But and I'm so just reading those, I was like, oh man, I am such a Nick.
Really?
I am such a Nick. Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
I don't think I really fit quite in either of them, although I'm probably. Body-wise, I'm probably more of Charlie.
Definitely.
But I don't know if I'm not Charlie. Charlie's gay.
You didn't read it and feel like
no.
That's because I was reading and I was like, oh man, that's so mean.
Because Charlie knew in the one part he says that he's known since he was little that he was attracted to boys.
Right.
So that's not me. That I don't. There are some parts of this though that resonate with me. So
well, listen. So okay, I don't know that we've talked about it a whole lot, but it's pretty. It's like bi culture that a lot of bi people don't really recognize that they're bi when they're young.
Well,
like,
that's
I didn't say to myself when I was young, like, oh, I'm bi. I like boys and girls, and at the time I didn't have words to put to it because bisexuality is not just liking boys and girls, so don't ever use that definition. But when you're a kid in the 90s, it wasn't really that way. Like, you think that you just for bi women maybe more, I feel like I'm probably speaking too much about it, but because I'm whatever. Um, so anyways, by women, I feel like a lot of times think that they just really like this woman as a friend, because our friendships can be a lot more intimate than socially men are allowed to have relationships. Does that make sense to you?
Which is how this book is going along.
Right.
They're two boys sitting next to each other in a class. I think it's called form or something like that.
I'm thinking it's like homeroom kind of thing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So they're sitting next to each other.
Right.
And they click immediately.
Right.
One of them's a jock rugby. The other one is a gay nerd
who was outed.
He was outed and bullied the previous year.
Right.
And they immediately hit it off. It's just like there's an attraction there, and you could see on both sides. I mean, because it's a book, so you can see it. But to the characters, the Charlie is like falling for Nick, and he's like, Nick is a straight big old rugby player. There's no way that he likes me the same way.
I feel like that's pretty typical behavior, though, for most bi people. I mean, he's not bi, but especially I would think in high school, in my high school, like falling for people is just something you kept to yourself if they, because everybody's straight. I'm the only gay kid here.
Exactly. I don't know. I think it's still generally that way, but it seems like there's so many more people that come out.
Yeah, I feel like I hear a lot more about people coming out in high school. And I'm like, fuck, that's so awesome. Like, God, I wish that we could. Like, there's so many people from my high school class that have come out since high school, and it's like, wow, that's so amazing. Yeah. Like, I had no idea. Yeah, some people I talk to on a regular basis.
Yeah, where I grew up was much different. I mean, it was a very homophobic, misogynist, racist area.
Right.
I mean, overall, it's just the way it was.
Right.
And probably still is. I mean, there's
times were different then too. I mean,
yes, but there's always been a gay community and stuff.
I shouldn't say that. That's no excuse. Really.
No. And so I was brought up in that atmosphere, and I would have never. I don't know if I had been gay, how I would have ever come out. I don't know. I probably would have just had to leave home.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was definitely different. And so, I mean, this boy, Charlie, being bullied for a whole year, it had to have been horrible.
I can't imagine it actually stops, though.
It doesn't. And we can see that in volume 2. It doesn't really stop because there's these assholes that know that he's the gay kid, the gay nerdy kid. So, I mean, it doesn't really stop. Maybe it dies down.
Right.
But then those people that are assholes just come back to be assholes.
Well, internalized homophobia, I would reckon.
There's probably a lot of that. And as we see in volume 2, Nick is struggling with all of this.
Right.
You know, because he's like, I like girls, but you know what? I really like Charlie a lot. Right. He's my best friend. I want to be with him all the time. And when you do that, it's not usually just best friends. It's somebody that you're attracted to.
Right.
That you want to be with all the time.
Right.
Because I've had friends that I never wanted to be with all the time. Hanging out with them and drinking or whatever is one thing, but like wanting to be with them all the time is not the same.
I've definitely had friends that I'd fuck. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of my
yeah, see, I've never had any friends that I wanted to.
See, that's what I don't know if it's
maybe they're girlfriends.
If it's like I don't know if it's like the that women are allowed to be more intimate and therefore allowed to cross that line a little bit because in society, men are supposed to, keep those lines and those boundaries real thick. And so I think that if men were raised the way, we're trying to raise our children, and just allow feelings to happen, and then they can be recognized and done with what they're supposed to.
I think you're right about that. Nobody ever questions two women hugging.
Right.
Even kissing, just saying, hey, how's it going? And giving a kiss.
Yeah.
Peck on the cheek, on the lips, whatever. Nobody ever questions that.
Right.
Unless they're like homophobic, over the edge homophobic. But even with my friends, my male friends back home, we would hug and, pat each other on the back and stuff like that. It was not a big deal.
Right.
So, but there was.
Yes, but in high school? In high school, did
I
you
don't
were you
know.
that
Probably not
affectionate?
until
Yeah.
we were adults.
Right.
You know, in high school, didn't do that. In high school, it was always we had this weird handshake. Seriously, it was this like 3-step handshake secret
Didn't you
thing.
still do that with one of your friends for a long
We
time?
did. I don't. We still might, but I haven't seen him in a few years. But yeah. So my point in all this is that I never had an attraction to a man, so I didn't. None of that. You know, I didn't feel what Nick was going through in this book. Never did.
In high school.
Ever until I don't know.
Not ready to go there, huh?
Well, I don't know if I'm romantically attracted to men per se.
Okay.
I think
Valid.
sexually, I think I am.
Okay. Valid.
So, I mean, it's, it's a kind of like Nick trying to figure out what's what.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I think what's really awesome about that is that we have this wealth of knowledge and community online that you don't have to know who you are necessarily. And when you find that community, like I don't even want to plug the page, but you find that I'm not I'm not going to, but when you find those groups and you find those people and then you start reading like all this common, like, oh my God, like, yep, this is exactly how I feel. And then you read all these people saying the exact same things. And it's like, oh my God, I am not alone. And that is so huge in figuring out who you are. And sometimes, hey, some people are like, fuck the labels. I don't want to label this. I just want to be me. And that's cool. And that's awesome. That's completely valid too. Like, I have no problem if you don't want to label yourself. Just don't tell other people not to label themselves. Like sometimes, during the a lot of volume 2 is about the coming out part of it. And it's like, hey, if you don't want to label, like, I wish that one of the characters had said to them, like, you don't have to, and they kind of did. They kind of said, figure your shit out. That's all good. Figure it out. That's cool. And I feel like, also not having to put a name on it is really important too.
Let's talk a little bit about the artwork.
Okay. Yeah.
It's very manga-like.
Okay. I mean, I haven't done a lot. I've read one series.
Right. Which was real manga that was translated.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to read the first volume of that. And we're going to be doing that on a future show. Yeah. But yeah, this is a regular, I mean, she's from England, so she does, left to right reading.
Right.
And
you
front
know
to
what
back.
I mean, when you look at the art, I'm like, I just automatically assume that they've been drawing for years and years because that's just, it's good. It's then you read this interview that they did and they said, or was it in their bio? And they said that they were really just writing and then kind of started to work on the drawing aspect of it. And it's like, wow, you mean you've only been drawing for that short period of time? And
maybe concentrating on it. It's possible that they were working with drawing.
Perfecting it, I feel like. Yeah, I feel it. But even like just the way that everything is
the way they flow, the panels flow, and she uses like leaves to connect panels together. It's very cool. Very
Yes, I love it a lot.
She does a lot of the manga type things where they use like words to demonstrate things like snap or bump or
Did
things
you notice
like that.
All the little hearts in the eyes? Sometimes one of them would look at the other and just have hearts in their eyes. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I heard you weren't around when I read the first volume, but I heard you laugh out loud multiple times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I did too. It's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's huge too. The first volume is,
I feel like that might be like
260 pages. The second one is like another 260 pages.
I feel like that may be like when you picked it up and said, why don't you try reading this? Like, I'm like, I picked up a book that was like a quarter of this and you said there's no way I could get through it. And then I read this so quickly that it was like,
yeah, it's because it's not 17 panels per page. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 panels on a page.
Well,
it's large artwork. It's descriptive. It's clean, fun. She can show emotions so well in the eyes and the face.
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
They do a great job at that. And it's really entertaining. I was surprised, and it's a boy meet boy, and I was intrigued. I wanted to know, I'm questioning myself, so I wanted to read something, boy meets boy, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And the second volume really goes into some of the things that I'm internalizing myself,
Right.
wondering, so
I love these panels. I'm sorry, I just
yeah,
flipped it.
what?
First of all,
Like the text messages.
the text messages back and forth, and then they're brushing their teeth and they're
Just
texting,
tap, tap.
and they're in bed and they're it's clearly nighttime and they're
there's no
sleeping because they have
words.
school in the morning.
There's nothing, no words between them. It's just tap, tap, tap.
And
You know
then-
that they're just texting back and forth, and she doesn't have to tell you what's going on. You just know that they're.
And you feel it because every one of us has been there.
Yeah.
That new relationship energy, that NRE, that feeling of this like complete and total glee, and this person is my world.
Yeah, and you're just going back and forth, and you're talking about all kinds of things, and you're excited, and you've got that, that the butterflies in your stomach and everything.
God, those butterflies, yep.
I know, and you're just like all excited, and until you find out that they're an ass.
And this too, the deleting of the texts.
Oh yeah.
They're trying typing something out. They want to say something and delete.
Yeah. So on the other side, they probably see ... Oh, they're typing something.
No. Wow. And then you just thinking about the inside of that and like what Charlie must be thinking when they see the ... and then it disappears.
Yeah.
Or what Nick must be thinking when they see the ... and then it disappears 5 times. And
exactly. Exactly.
I'm sure I've done that to people.
Yeah,
because I do a lot of deleting before sending.
Yeah, exactly. Because unless you're drunk texting at 2 a.m, most people, unless they're angry, just they think about something and they're like, no, I don't want to say that.
Most people, you think?
Don't people?
I do.
Yeah, I don't as much as I should. I don't think much in advance. I'm too stupid.
That was not a kind thing to say about yourself.
I do that all the time, though. I say things and I'm like, oh, foot in mouth. I do that. Yeah. You should know that.
I do.
Yeah. But yeah, this Heartstopper by Alice Oseman is awesome. There's going to be 2 more volumes.
Highly recommended. 2 thumbs up, 4 thumbs up.
What did we read? She was looking for 9,000 pounds and she got like 62,000 pounds on her Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think was it? Oh no, 70,000 was how many Tumblr followers.
Yeah, and she was only looking for 9,000. She's like, okay, I'm going to print this first volume. And she got so much money
and then she had to spend a month and a half instead of focusing in on their work and perfecting it or creating more stories or whatever. Now they have to work on getting all this stuff.
Yeah. But then Hachette came to her.
60,000.
Yeah. Hachette, the giant publisher of the UK, came and said, hey, you know what? We'll give you a deal because obviously you can sell books. And she said, yeah, she took it. They must have given her a good contract and guaranteed that they'd print the next 3 volumes. So volume 2's out.
And gave them, I think, a lot of I don't know, power over the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she said, and there was an interview with her online that she said that she was proud of it because she created the character. She created the webcomic. She put out the first book. So she did all this. She created 70,000 followers.
Well, didn't they say that they have been doing the webcomic part of it since 2016? So it's been several years.
And she was doing like
work
3 of them a month, I think. She was just putting out 3 a month.
Really? That's a lot.
Well, that's what she said because she was a full-time author and that became 50% of her work, but she wasn't making any money out of it. So she started a Patreon.
Ah, okay.
And she said just, $1 to $5 a month just to help me so I can continue to do this. And she got tons of money.
Right.
Because people love this work.
Yeah. I can see why.
It struck a chord with people.
Right.
And that's awesome. As an author myself, it would be awesome to have that kind of following, that kind of dedicated following.
Right. I'm really curious about what the majority of their audience is.
Well, did you
because
say?
It says topics on this on their booktrust.org.uk topics. It's 12 and over, graphic novel, love and romance, LGBTQ plus, writing, features. So I'm assuming that the target audience is 12 and over. Young adult,
the same as her
not. I
novels.
mean, the most that happens is kissing. So I mean, I would let our 9-year-old read this. Absolutely. So
it sounds like they've already skimmed through it, so we're going to let them finish reading it.
Right, but having read it, I try not to let them read things without me knowing what it is.
So yeah, I would let our child read this because I think it's a pretty good book, and
the most they do is kiss. I mean,
exactly. So there's nothing that's bad about it.
I'm just really curious what their audience is.
I am too. Like I said,
who's reading this? I want to know.
I don't know. You've read young adult stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I've started reading far more frequently young adult stuff just because I'm, part of a book club and we read stuff written by women and women of color and stuff. And a lot of it happens to be young adult.
Are they written by young adults?
No.
But they're written for that market.
Correct.
Because they're trying to educate. Is that?
Some of it is, but some of it is, I mean, a lot of them are novels. They're not like, they're not
just written for that younger target audience.
Right.
It's about younger characters.
Relating. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times.
Well, and I think that's her. She, Alice, is 25, but she's
25.
Yeah, but she's writing for a young audience. I mean, this book is geared for, it says 12 and over. So she knows, I mean, even though she's 10 years past it herself.
Right.
She understands.
But at 25, I remembered high school,
I probably did too. But
so long ago for you.
Well, for me it was. But I haven't read young adult. I've had no interest in reading any young adult.
Right.
So this I didn't even know it was geared towards young adults.
At the time.
I just knew, when I picked it up, I knew that it was about boy meets boy. That was pretty much the only thing I knew.
Right.
And it's boy meets boy. It wasn't man meets man. So I kind of knew that it wasn't,
Right. Right.
Although sometimes when they talk in gay stories, it's boy meets boy kind of thing. They don't always say man meets man.
Usually it's spelled with an I then.
Because that sounds a little weird. Man meets man. It doesn't sound as cute as boy meets boy.
It's definitely cute, but that's, again, a young adult thing.
Probably.
Cute.
Is cute with an I too? How do you spell cute?
Oh, don't even get me started.
Anyhow. So yeah. Great book. We're not going to, I mean, we don't rate numbers, stars, thumbs up, thumbs down, none of those things. It's just generally.
Didn't I already say?
I don't know.
Thumbs up on this.
We don't always.
We loved it though. We loved it. That's what we're getting at. We loved it.
Hopefully, we won't have to review too many books that we don't like. This one,
I kind of feel like it will be hard to get through them if we don't like them.
This one though was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I loved it.
Can't wait. I think we said it earlier. Can't wait for 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Volume 3 and 4.
Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, I want to go back, and I know they're novels, so we won't, be reading them for this, but I'd like to go back and read her other stuff because I imagine that they're awesome.
I actually want to now because I know that some of the characters now, and talk about young adult. I might want to go back and read some of this stuff just to see these other characters.
Absolutely.
Because you see Tori, his sister.
Right.
And she's just a minor character in just a couple panels.
Yeah, exactly. But you kind of I just kind of got that, these are the only ones that we've read, but I just got this feeling that she was significant in some way and I couldn't really put my finger on it. And then you read the thing in the back that says that they're characters from her story.
Right.
And it was a spinoff. And it's like, oh, well, now I got to read Tori's story.
Exactly. So I think I might want to read that stuff. And she's got web comics, so I think that we might want to go check those out because I skimmed through a couple before we did the show here.
Oh, did you?
And she's got some colored ones too.
Yeah. So check out their website. I mean, we might as well send people there. We absolutely love their work. I'm trying to find it and pull it up. Heartstopper. Here we go. Nope. Booktrust.org.uk.
Well, if you go to Instagram, you can find her at Alice Oseman, Oseman.
I think it was .com, but I don't want to send
But if you go there, Instagram, you could probably get a link to her.
AliceOseman.com. That's it.
But she's got on her Instagram, she's got a bunch of on their Instagram. They've got a bunch of artwork and panels and stuff. So it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, I got to look up there. We were having trouble with Instagram and creating a page, but I was having trouble. Mike figured it out in about 2 seconds, but I spent like a week trying to figure out how to get it. Kept telling me that the account already existed, but then when I tried to log in with what I would have put for my username and password, it said there was no account, and it was just a mess.
It's okay. We made a few mistakes putting all that stuff together, but we've got it all together.
It's there, so check it out. Yes. Head over to our Twitter, over to our Facebook page, over to our Instagram. Check them out.
All under Graphic Novel Podcast.
Graphic Novel Podcast.
Or the Graphic Novel Podcast, or is it just Graphic Novel?
If you search Graphic Novel Podcast, it should come up.
Yeah, but we're on all those.'re going to try and keep some things up to date with,
And that's where we'll post the links to the pages.
Yep, links to the pages. And if you go to anchor.fm/Graphic Novel Podcast, that's also where you can get to our content for the show
backlog.
Yes. Well, hopefully it'll be on whatever podcast distribution you use, whether it's iTunes or Stitcher or Anchor or Breaker or Google or whatever they are. Spotify. You can use any of those. You'll be able to find us. And
rank
also,
us. Give us some
definitely. The other thing is, if you go to that page, you can also leave us a voice message. And if
on Anchor,
if it's not something terribly horrible, then then we may air it on a future episode.
Yeah, so you may hear your. Do you remember growing up? I mean, maybe it wasn't as cool for you because I remember like thinking how cool it would be to hear yourself on the radio. Like that was such an awesome thing. Like I had a radio show for college in my college class, and it was like so cool to hear myself on the radio.
When I was
little, you call in on the radio. You always want to call. We were kids, and it's like they're not going to air you.
When I was little, I had an electronic set from Radio Shack that had this. They were like 10 feet green wires. You'd make a little. Like a radio, like an amp that you would record.
Yeah, and when you recorded and had.
Well, you didn't record, but it was like you could talk. It was like a microphone you could talk to, and you would connect the long wires to a speaker. And I used to make my brother and sister sit in a box with the speaker. With the speaker,
I thought this was all pretend. There was actual.
Oh, I did this.
There was an actual microphone, and you were actually like talking into a speaker. I mean,
yes, I talked into the microphone. I had a turntable. I used to play music. I was a DJ.
What? I thought it was all like make believe. I didn't know you actually had the electronics in front. You were like meant for this.
Forced them to listen to me be DJ. And I was so on the air.
We couldn't afford to buy anything from Radio Shack, and so it was just like make believe. We used to play like drive through at the front window. Like it was everything was make believe.
Oh no,
I can't believe you actually. I've heard this story a million times. I never knew that there was actual physical.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. And I was on the radio once when I was 18. It was on July 4th, and I had an hour-long DJ spot.
So you won it or something, right?
It was a kind of contest thing. So I was on the air, played songs for all my friends, and then I had the TV show for 7 years. So I got used to my voice.
Yeah,
I got used to my voice after a couple of years. You definitely get used to it. It's like whether you like it or not, that's what you sound like. My voice is a little different now because I had surgery, and I noticed my voice changed a little bit.
It did change a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to go into those details at all, or just leave it at that?
Cancer, thyroid cancer.
There you go.
8 years ago. So we're still plugging along here.
Yep.
So check us out. Add us to your favorites. Subscribe to our podcast. Again, Graphic Novel Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Mike.
And I'm Parker.
And this is the Graphic Novel Podcast.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.